Hi there. Well, since my post about getting the feet right, I've had quite a few emails from people asking me about hands. Well, let's jump around the body then. Let's have a look at hands. And one of the big questions I've been asked is from traditional people. And they've been asking about where the fish should be, which way up the fish should be when it lands. And a couple of guys actually sent me a photo of a punch right out here at full extension, saying that that is the correct way, and then somebody else sent me a photo where it's this way up, and then somebody else sent me a photo where it's roughly at 45, and all three were adamant that their way was the correct way. Well, my answer is quite simple really. You're all wrong. It's this simple, okay? Those pictures with a punch at the very end of its travel is the very end of that punch's travel. It's already hit its target and gone through it. It's a bit like, let's put it this way, if you were teaching somebody how to do a hook, we often teach people that their arms out here, I won't go through the whole thing, and then just swing the arm around as if you're going to be punching yourself in your own shoulder. So you could argue that if you took a picture just here, where we were punching ourselves in our own shoulder, because it's the very end of the technique, that is the correct position for a hook. Obviously, that is ludicrous, because we all know that the punch has landed and then you follow through. And so it is with all these shapes, all these positions that you see in kata and karate and all the traditional arts. When something is at the very end, it's already landed and followed through the target. So it's ludicrous to think that at the very end of your technique, if your fist is this way, or this way, that's the correct positioning of your fist. It's whatever lands. Now, when you're throwing different types of punches, different areas of your fist will land on that person. When you're throwing a hook where your hand is like this way up, palm facing you, that is the way we would teach it for boxing, kickboxing, Thai boxing. It's something where you've got a big glove on, because that's the sport version. But it is limited in its range. The further away you go, the more difficult it is to keep your palm towards you. And if you do turn your palm round, you then completely obliterate any kind of alignment you've got between your wrist and your arm. So the alignment is the key, not the actual position at the end of the technique. The position of your fist will be different for everything that you throw, depending on what type of technique it is, what type of strike it may be, and also where on the body it's going and the distance between you and your opponent. Because, simple example, for a hook where you've got your palm towards you, if it's close in, medium range, and depending on how good you are, longer range, you can have the palm towards you. But the further away you go, it's impossible, so the hand will turn to land that hook, which is why you see some boxers with their hand like this when they land a hook. Sometimes it will turn even more and be almost upside down. So you can't say definitively that any fist position on a technique is correct. You can only say what landed, where did it land, did it have its effect? That's all you can say about hand positioning when it comes to what it looks like on the strike. Again, it comes back to the aesthetics of things that I mentioned on the feet. too many times, especially in the traditional arts, and it creeps into sport as well, you know, we're all guilty of it, that we get tied into, we get attached to what it looks like. Does it look technically correct? Is that fist exactly in the right position? And if you've been in a traditional art, you know, you've had this thousands of times. You'll have your hand out here and the instructor will come along and just make a tiny little movement or move it over here, or some master will come along and move you a little bit different, and then you'll be amazed, oh, the master did an amazing job, he moved my fist a little bit, it must have been 2 mil out. It's ridiculous. I remember teaching actually at a seminar with a very highly ranked Japanese instructor who I shall not name, and I joined in his class, which was before mine. His assistant, another highly ranked Japanese instructor, was also there, and we were there just doing punch after punch in some stance, and my fist was out like this. The assistant instructor came and went like that and moved it a couple of mil that way, and then a few seconds later the master instructor came and moved it back where it was. And that typifies the rubbish that goes on within the martial arts. Everybody is so concerned with the aesthetics and where something should be to be absolutely correct, and all of it is rubbish. It doesn't just pertain to the feet that I mentioned in the previous clip or the hands that we're talking about in this clip. Anything that goes on like that to make it look nice is total, I won't even, BS, total BS, okay? The only fine detail that you need for a given technique is in the delivery system if it's a strike, so that you get speed, power, distance, time, all of that sort of stuff. Or in the fine detail of a lock, so that it goes on much more quickly, it's much more effective, much more dynamic. Then yes, I can understand this fine tuning, and that's what we do that. Of course we do that. But fine tuning on aesthetics is a complete waste of your time. It's a complete waste of your training time. You're much better to look at the fine tuning of what's actually going on before that punch gets all the way out here, because that's the important bit. What it looks like at the end, it makes no difference, because the punch should already have landed. Anyway, we've gone a little bit towards fine tuning and stuff like that, which is another topic that I might cover later. But please let me know what else you want to talk about and we'll get through that. But don't worry about what a fist looks like on any strike. I don't care what art you're in. It doesn't matter what it looks like at the end. It's how it's delivered and how it lands on your opponent that matters, along with all the other things like keeping safe, distance, time, all the angles, all of that sort of stuff. But when we just analyse just the fist on its own, don't care what it looks like as long as it lands properly.